All right, welcome back to the Generation Z podcast. This is episode number 44, and today we are talking about the compound effect. So, the compound effect explains how the small, seemingly unimportant choices you make every day are actually the cause of either your success or your failure. It also explains why there is no such thing as an overnight excess, even if it looks like that from an outsider's perspective. And it also explains the importance of momentum, which for me personally has been a big game changer.
Yeah, so before we get started, obviously, we both haven't been recording over the past couple of weeks, but we have decided to take a little bit of a break just to kind of get back on schedule in terms of uni work and all that sort of stuff. But now we're back, and hopefully, we can continue to bring podcasts out every week. So, if you do want to know when we're uploading and all that sort of stuff, do follow us on Instagram. We do regular updates, we do regular motivational and just general Generation Z content. So go over there if you want to check that out. And also, if you want to watch us, then simply go to our YouTube and it is the Generation Z podcast.
Yeah, so we'll start with what is the compound effect. So, compound effect is the principle of reaping huge rewards from a series of small, smart choices. So, it basically says like small, smart choices plus consistency plus time equals a radical difference in your life. So, the example, and by the way, like the compound effect is a book, by the way. So, I've read this recently. Really, really good book. I'd definitely recommend people buy it. But the example it gives about how small choices over time compound is like a person is eating like 125 calories worth of food. So say you have like 125 calorie biscuit with your cup of tea every day,
Mm.
and you decide that you want to lose weight, so you remove that biscuit from your diet. Now, obviously, most people will be like, well, what's the point of that? It's a biscuit worth
Mm.
125 calories. It's pointless, right?
Yeah.
But actually, if you were to just remove 125 calories from your diet or go into a 125 calorie deficit over a year, you'd be 6 kg down. And then
That's actually, yeah, that's mental.
yeah, and then and then in 2.5 years, you'd be 15 kg down just from that one small biscuit. Now,
Literally, yeah.
obviously, that's what it says in the book. Now, obviously, being a personal trainer myself, I know that
Yeah, MG coaching.
exactly, like MG coaching, if you want to get in the best shape of your life, little plug. But I know that obviously weight loss isn't linear like that. It's obviously going to depend on like how big you are to start with. But it just goes to show like it's a rough guideline of even a small change like that
Mhm.
over time, if you stick with it, is going to compound rapidly.
Yeah, because that is literally a thing. Like the key word there is small
Yeah,
change. Like it doesn't have to be major. It can be absolutely anything. Like for example, if it's not related to like calorie intake, it could be like, oh, I want to read 5 pages of a book, and you start doing that. You would have continued to do that, and you would have read a book over a period of time over just not starting it and just like not
yeah,
doing it. So it's just about doing the small things a lot.
yeah, literally. And it also says in the book something about a ripple effect. So basically everything you do is actually connected. So it doesn't matter, even if it's the smallest thing, if it's a small but positive thing, it can have huge positive ripple effect on your life, as opposed to doing something small could have a huge negative ripple effect on your life. So maybe it's you go for a walk, a 10-minute walk, instead of listening to music, you decide to listen to a self-development podcast, right? Seems like nothing. You do that every day for a year, you've learned loads. And then that's
Mm-hmm.
just from that little 10-minute walk, then you build more confidence, you're more outgoing, you're working harder at work, an opportunity comes up at work for a promotion, you have the self-belief to get it.
Yeah,
You then earn more money because you got more money and will have more free time, so you can go to the pub. You meet because you're more social. You
e-
meet someone like it's huge. Like
exactly. Like people don't think that like one little small change can maybe you may not see like a result within like the first year, but that's not what it's about. It's about continuing to doing the right things and in time what you want to achieve will come to you, because at the end of the day, like, the secret to success in anything is hard work and discipline. Like, you look at any successful figure anywhere, like, they haven't just got that. Like, Jeff Bezos hasn't just appeared and he's just got Amazon and
Well, I thought
nobody.
he just woke up that way.
And it just doesn't work like that. Like, people don't see what goes on behind the scenes. They don't see like the effort that you have to put in. But and also, you shouldn't be doing it to show off the effort. You should just be doing it to better yourself and succeed in the future for yourself.
Yeah, and just following on from that, I know we both follow a guy called Eman Gadzi as well, and he has a podcast called the Private Victories Podcast, and the reason behind that is he always says like private victories over public victories. Yeah, you see someone doing something, but behind the scenes, they're doing way more than that. They might have small little wins every day that are way more important because those small wins lead to the big wins, kind of thing. If you get
Yeah, and like, social media has definitely pushed that out there for a lot of people. Like, a part of social media is just documenting your life, but it's not necessary. It's not completely necessary. I know a lot of people do a lot. Most of the people do a lot in private. Are the successful people.
Yeah,
They don't do it for show, because they know it doesn't really mean much if you do it for show.
Yeah, and it also says in the book like one of the main excuses people have is like, oh, but I need to know how to do this. I need more information. But it, it basically says like, if that was the case, everyone with an internet connection would be rich, would be in the best shape of their life. And you don't need more information. You just want to create new choices, behaviors, and habits that will compound over time to become successful. So,
ultimately, it's down to you, isn't it?
yeah, and that actually follows on quite nicely into the next section, which is all about choices. So, little quote is just a quote from the book is just, you make your choices, then your choices make you, which is really simple but really cool, actually, I think.
Yeah.
But basically says like the majority of us just sleepwalk through our daily choices because obviously we don't see their long-term effects. Because, you know, if you were, I don't know, to smoke a cigarette and then you got cancer instantly, nobody's gonna do that.
No.
If you were to eat a Mackey's and just suddenly get obese instantly, like, you're not gonna do that. You know?
Yeah, and it's also because like you're comfortable in the current choices that you make, and that's obviously determining what you're doing and like your reality. So if you are sleepwalking through your daily choices and you're not actually choosing what you want to do or being proactive in that aspect, like, your life's not going to get any better because you haven't actually like changed any of your choices. I think choices like the biggest makeup of a person. Like, so the choices that a successful person makes and the choices that an unsuccessful person makes are completely different.
Yeah, and just following on from that though, like, yeah, they're completely different, but it's also very easy to switch to successful choice. Like, as you said, like, it's just small choices. It's not completely change your life around instantly because that's obviously not sustainable.
Yeah.
But it also says like everything in your life exists because you made a choice about something, which is kind of true. So like, as you just said, 100% responsibility. How many times have we said that before? It's very true. Like, choices are at the root of every one of your results.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's one of the main things that I've learned, even from like the since like start of the first lockdown, you know, when we were all just like didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
Everyone was like a bit uneasy, like everybody was uncertain about what was going on. But in that sort of period, I did have like a very like reflective moment, and I realized that like I'm not happy with where I am right now. And
I think
then
we both did.
yeah, and then we realized, like, as we were making the podcast and we got into self-development, like, we understood how important it is to just like be you need to be your most accountable to yourself. Like,
Definitely.
that is the only way you're gonna grow in life, because then you'll be able to check yourself, won't you? Like, if you're not doing something that goes along with what you want to do or what you've planned to do, and you're like off course, no one's going to tell you like, oh, you're not doing this, mate, you're not doing that. Like, they don't care. Like,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
just
that's
gonna
true.
continue. You're just gonna, like, there's two paths. There's like, obviously there's like the right way, and then there's the left way. If you like keep going right, and then you make incremental steps to the left each time, you, you're nowhere near where you want to be, are you?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, there's going to be something on habits about that actually as well. Like 1% differences in your direction add up massively. But
Exactly.
I don't know if you ever played the game when you were a kid where somebody like hides something maybe, and then you walk around and you're like warmer, warmer,
Yeah,
warmer.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of thing. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, it says as well like every single. So say you have a goal, right? Every single choice either gets you warmer or colder. So it doesn't matter how small that choice is.
I actually like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, let's talk about like let's go back to the biscuits. Like you're trying to get in shape. You need to think of that biscuit as like again, we can try to be flexible with our diet, but let's just take it as like a bad food right now.
Hmm.
Obviously, that's going to get you colder from your goal. And when you start thinking like that, you're like, oh, yeah, right. I don't want to do that. It's going in the wrong direction. And you can do that with all these small little choices. And that's something since reading this book, I've been like, yeah, it doesn't seem important right now, but it's definitely not in the right direction. So you just kind of have to think to yourself, right, I can't do that then.
Yeah. So obviously we talked about choices there, and that kind of goes hand in hand with habits. And habits are obviously the makeup of our life. Like, our habits dictate where we are and kind of what we do. So if you know you have a current habit that is negative and it's not helping you in any way, then you need to question why you keep repeatedly doing it, even though you know that it's the bad choice.
Yeah. Definitely. It says in the book as well, it's called the instant gratification trap.
Mm.
So,
That's literally everywhere now. Instant
yeah,
gratification is
yeah,
just
it is, isn't it?
literally everywhere.
So, yeah, it's basically like, again, it comes back to that thing like you don't see the instant impact of your choices. And obviously, your choices create your habits. And it says like losing is a habit, winning is a habit because you are what you repeatedly do. You can only be as successful as your daily habits. Like, it's true.
Yeah,
You can't have shitty habits and then suddenly be like really successful.
that's literally what we bang on about. We bang on so much about morning routine,
Yeah,
because that is a series of winning habits that you're doing every day in the morning to
yeah.
set you up for the rest of the
Instant
day.
wins. Isn't
Just
it?
it, like little tiny wins, like read a book,
Read
cold
a page of a
shower,
book. Yeah,
yeah, go for a walk, listen to a podcast. Literally, you can get so much more done in a morning doing good daily habits than people that just do like one good thing a day. Like,
yeah, yeah.
and then you think how much that could add up in the long run.
It's huge, definitely. And I just want to say as well, like when we say you're only as successful as your daily routine, like I'm not saying that like, oh, us two are really successful because we've got an amazing routine.
Yeah,
I'm saying like,
I don't have an amazing routine right now, but I'm still able to do like a couple of bits and bobs that like just help.
yeah, I was gonna say like success isn't, oh, I made 100K this month. It's just being better than you were.
Yeah, mentally.
Yeah, because think about us two before we started this, from where I am now, from where you are now, to
Hmm.
before the first lockdown, that's really successful.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
yeah, we
And
haven't
it may
exactly
not
done
like,
loads.
not
Yeah,
in terms of output, but
yeah,
just in terms of
internally as well.
mentally
Yeah, yeah,
and growth in ourselves and like where we want to be, like the vision that we're going for, like
exactly.
100%.
And I know you were saying like um, earlier how you're trying to go left, but you keep on going right type of thing. It just keeps on going off track, off track.
Yeah, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, and it says in here like a single poor habit can put you miles off course. And the little analogy it gives is, so imagine you're flying from LA to New York. I mean, you're taking off in LA. The
Mm.
nose of the plane is 1% offline, okay? And that 1% change in course over a 150-mile journey would No, yeah. So it's not a 150-mile journey. That 1% change from flying from LA to New York would put you 150 miles in the wrong direction, if you get what I mean. When the
Like
plane,
that is like the perfect way to summarize like the compound effect in it.
yeah,
I'd say so.
it's just that tiny little difference puts somebody way off track. And again, it comes back to that ripple effect as well. Like it doesn't seem like much at the time, but it's how like everything's connected, everything adds up.
Mm.
So the last little bit is momentum, and this was a bit of a game changer for me because like when it comes to habits, choices, all of that, like I've kind of read enough books to be like, okay, yeah, I kind of understand. Obviously, this book helped me with that, added more to it, but this one was a big one. So it says the law of inertia. So objects in motion tend to stay in motion. So once you get into a successful rhythm, you're more likely to continue working hard and getting even better results.
Yeah.
And I think we both experienced this just through, like, as you said, morning routine or something.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I think we spoke about it in previous podcasts. We've talked about like just it's similar to momentum, but it's trying to think of the word. It's like success breeds success. That sort of phrase where it's
Yeah,
just like no matter how small that win is, as we've talked about, no matter how small that win is, if you're doing that win every day, you are gaining momentum over a longer period of time. And I think that is probably the hardest thing for people to do is to gain momentum, because it's the difference between like desire and motivation. Like motivation comes and goes, but like when you've got momentum, that then breeds desire, and then that desire is just a different fuel to motivation. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah, definitely,
it literally it's
100%.
if you've like got your eyes on a goal and you've only got your eyes on that goal and nothing else is getting in the way with it, like you got to think how like quickly or how quicker you'd achieve that if you just gave something like your full attention.
Yeah, definitely. And like progress is always going to be slow when you start. I think I literally started by, as we said, like reading a book. And that book led me to finding out, I don't know, about cold showers. And then I found out about meditation. And suddenly it's a whole successful morning routine. And suddenly I'm more outgoing and I'm meeting more people. Like it's going to be slow at first. But again, if you stick with it, you get that momentum. It builds up so quickly. And this is why there's no such thing as an overnight success, because successful people have been doing the same thing before and after they were successful. So
Yeah,
if you,
exactly.
let's think of an example. So maybe like Jeff Bezos, when he started Amazon, right? He might have been sat at that desk doing cold calls every day, trying to get people to, I don't
Yeah,
actually know the reason like how Amazon started, but
you
let's just
probably
say,
got so many fucking rejections from
yeah,
like investors or whatever. They were just like, yeah, this is what is this, like this won't work.
exactly. And he could have, maybe he had the perfect morning routine. He went into work, made 15 cold calls every day, went back, journaled, whatever, and he didn't make any progress for a year. Then he keeps on doing that, and suddenly it just compounds and compounds and compounds. He gets one sale, that sale gets him results, so he gets two more sales, then he gets three more sales, and it just builds like that.
Because it's essentially experience in it. Like that is where you get confidence from. Like if someone wants to know like how do I get confident in something, or how do I just get confident in general, like the first thing I'd say is experience. Like like just being in a situation all the time and just getting little wins from those experiences every time. And as you said, like momentum builds up over time, and you're you probably feel physically like yourself, you probably feel so much different than you did like a year ago, because you've had
Massively
like
different.
because you've probably like had a year or so of doing something like this.
Yeah. And like, this isn't me bragging or anything. I haven't done anything special, but like,
No.
just something simple. Like, I genuinely think I've probably had, I don't know, 5 days off like meditation or something like that in like the last year. I've journaled every single day. They seem like so stupid. You haven't achieved loads, but I'm way better than I was a year ago.
Yeah.
And that's just the power of tiny little things like that.
And
Like, it's
also,
crazy.
you're not comparing yourself to someone else.
No,
Like at the end of the
that
day,
is pointless.
that is the worst thing you can do.
We
That
did a
is
podcast on that. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, we've been through that before. And
it's probably the most destructive thing that you can do is just like compare yourself to others.
Definitely. And I think it says in there as well, like, it's a lot easier just to take off once and maintain a regular speed than to stop and start. So you don't want to go just all out 100% effort because you'll last about a week, right? And then you'll stop, and then you'll be like, "Oh, I failed." And then 2 weeks later, you'll suddenly get the motivation again. You'll go all out for a week, and then you'll fail. So
yeah, exactly.
take it slow.
There's no consistency in that, is there?
Exactly. And it basically says, like, think of it as a merry-go-round. So you know the things in like the park where you like you push them to spin around. So when you start that, you're kind of like dragging it or pushing it. And it's like really, 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 really hard. And then it gets easier and easier and easier and easier. And then suddenly it's just like flying at its own pace.
Yeah.
Right. It's going really quickly. And then when it does slow down, you jump off, just give it another little tap, and it keeps on going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that is literally sums it up perfectly.
So yeah, it's a lot easier just to take off once and maintain that. So it doesn't mean you can't slip up. It just means that don't go completely out the way for long periods of time, because it's going to take you a lot longer to get back on track. And I just want to say as well, like, one little last example of momentum. Again, I mentioned him earlier, was Iman Gadzhi. Again, it comes back to that thing of like no overnight success. I think when he started his social media marketing agency, like, it blew up quickly.
He was like 17, wasn't he?
Yeah. So I think he started it, and within like a year, he was already making like stupid money. And you'd look at that and think, oh, this guy's just started a business. And in a year, let's say he made like a couple mil, right? You'd be like, oh, overnight success.
Yeah.
But he'd been reading a book a week from the age of 14. He had a meditation routine. Like, he'd been doing all these self-development habits for 3 years before he even started that business. And that allowed him to kind of be in a position where he believed in himself and he had the knowledge and confidence to build that business. So yeah, it looks from the outside like he just started a business and it blew up. But he's been doing the same routine, as I said before. Successful people have been doing the same thing before and after they've been successful. He's been doing that for 3 years before he even started that. So it's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, just to finish off that, that is the perfect example, because he's made the right choices and constructed the right habits since the age of 14, and now he's like living it up and doing whatever he wants, because he's just had that. Like, I didn't know he started doing that at 14.
Yeah, crazy.
Mate, fair enough.
But yeah, that's it for today's podcast. So obviously, as you said in the beginning, we have been a little bit of a break recently, but we are back. We are trying to get into the same routine as we were before, try to be consistent and keep these coming out. So yeah, hope you enjoyed today's podcast. If you did, then obviously subscribe, follow us, whatever platform you're listening on, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.